I'm telling you, lot, Calafiori watches these videos, man. It's just a fallback thing. And we're live, people. Deluded, I'm back again. Appreciative to having you lot tuned in wherever you lot are in this world, people. If you're on Twitch, big up yourself. If you're on YouTube, please do me a favor and smash the like button. Any comments, talking points, opposing opinions, you know everything's welcome. And again, you have to have manners. Mom gave me manners. Manners are free. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and of course, in some cases, good night. And I extend that to everyone and their family, apart from Mr. Michael Oliver. Definitely not. I hope your Sunday roast gets burnt. You're an absolute fraud. You're an absolute crook, and you're a disgrace. And again, I do listen. It's the elephant in the room, innit? You lot know me. I do think Arsenal fans have this victims mentality in a lot of aspects. I do think we're very quick to call conspiracy where sometimes it's not relevant. That being said, two truths can live in one realm, right? And I do think Arsenal are ref differently, a lot differently than a lot of other teams. Like you see Joe Linton, big up Newcastle, but you see Joe Linton of Newcastle doing up at WWE MMA every week and nothing happens. And you know, Lewis Skelly, again, he's having a great season. Welcome to truly being a professional footballer for Arsenal Football Club. It's an absolute disgrace. And again, I am no expert on refereeing. I know people make mistakes. I know referees are never going to be liked. But at the end of the day, people, if a manager does good or bad, there's appropriate talking points. Sporting directors, owners, even fans in this day and age are criticized, pundits, etc. We ask questions of the referees, but we see it week in, week out. He clearly has a conscious and unconscious bias against Arsenal. The reports, the statistics are there. He's a human being. We all have conscious and unconscious bias. Think about it logically. If I'm refereeing a Sunday league game against two teams, and I think on one of the teams, one of their players is a bit of a diver, he goes down in the box, it might legitimately be a penalty, but indirectly I might think he's searching for it. Likewise, there could be another player who I think is quite honest, and he actually might have committed dived and cheated, but I might give it to him. Pause. I don't understand it with the refereeing. Refereeing is the only sport, or the only occupation I see where you get rewarded for failing. But again, it's not that I'm bored talking about it, but we're going to be here. We've been here for years. There's Arsenal fans older than me that can attest to that. And there's probably young ones learning, and we're going to be here week in, week out. What I did like with the Wolves game is, of course, refs can change games and it's about fine margins. And I know it's not right, but there's been a lot of times we've had a man sent off, and I think away from that incident, we didn't do enough to get the job done. Yesterday, I'm proud of the boys. I'm proud of the boys for that second half in particular. I'm proud of, obviously, Calafiori for getting it done. Raya, obviously, with a big save. Everyone did what they needed to do, if I'm honest. Now, away from the refs, clearly it's the same issues with Arsenal. We're not creating that much. We're playing all right. We're starting well. We're having teams pending their own half. We're creating chances, but the chances, or clear-cut chances, are minimal, and respectfully, they fall into the players who are not clinical. Kai Havertz does everything well apart from what we need our forward to do, which is obviously score goals. I do think he should have had a brace. I might be being wrong here, but I think Martinelli could have scored as well. Now, I'm not smashed the light, but I'm not trying to catch anyone out or scapegoat, and I'm just trying to paint a picture of how I saw the game. The main thing is the 3 points and a clean sheet. The main thing is the 3 points. Now, obviously, again, the main thing for me is, obviously, we're still talking about the referees, and I think the rare times where we've had a man sent off and we still walk away with something, we need to speak on it, really, because the refs got away with murder. Like Michael Oliver, I'm not really one that necessarily believes in conspiracy theorists and stuff, but for him in particular, you should never ref for Arsenal Football Club again. Go and ref something else because you've got something against us, and you're not making any sense, because I don't understand how Lewis Skelly's one's a straight red and then there's 2 yellow cards being given for Gomez. But I don't know why I'm trying to understand this, because all of this is irrelevant. If we go back last season, ain't this the same referee with Kovacic? twice against Odegaard and Rice. It annoys me because this is always something that goes against Arsenal. But I've seen Saka's calf kicked. I've seen Tomiyasu stamped on. I've seen, forget Declan Rice's one against Brighton. The one Martinelli, I'm sure it was this guy, Martinelli, either against, I want to say Leeds away. And there's plenty of other examples, people. Yeah, there's been times where maybe we've got away with one. I'm not going to lie. Anfield last season, I think Liverpool should have had a penalty where it's hit Odegaard's hand. But more often than not, this guy, it's this guy. And if I really wanted to do a deep dive, I bet he's been on VAR when we've been zanged a couple of times. Mike Dean, the pussy old Mike Dean, is saying that Arsenal should appeal. We all know why Mike Dean's a twat. And we going back to the Wenger days. From he is saying that, it's absolutely mad. But what are we going to see, people? They're going to come out. They're going to defend the guy. I think, again, and I said this when I was on TalkSport and a few weeks, well, my first one, I think, and it's nothing to do necessarily with what I'm about to say, with Arsenal or anyone that feels hard done by. Wolves fans, ironically, in the last 2 years, dodgy VAR decisions. Whether you agree with it or not, the Premier League is seen as the biggest and baddest league, the best managers, the best players, the best coaches, the best this, the best that, the third. Why don't you say the same things about referees? Now, these guys that control, and girls and whatever, that control the sport that we love in terms of TV rights and deciding stuff, if they wanted to have consistent and competent refereeing and none of these talking points, it would have been done. It adds to the entertainment product. I'm speaking with you lot about it. The pundits got some material for a couple of days. We all know Sky Sports and these things, they're going to wheel out the referee and he's, they're going to be talking about it. And, even with Mikel Arteta's comments, the manager's fed up. Like he was saying, it's clear. It's clear. It's clear. Fortunately, we won. We kept a clean sheet. We got the 3 points and it's happy days. But whether we win, lose or draw, whether we have 10 or 11 players on the pitch, let it be because of what we did or didn't do. Now, I know decisions are going to go wrong, but more often than not, there's an agenda against Arsenal football clubs with refereeing. And I will say, I'll extend that to Michael Oliver specifically, people. It's absolutely jarring, bro. Big up Fam Zone TV. Make sure you're subscribing, whether it's Trench Talks, Baller Talks, or, the singular streams for Arsenal, Liverpool. Make sure you're supporting the thing, man. The PGMOL came out already and said they're standing by the decision, and Oliver was right. They're going to back their boys. It's like police, bro. Like, if a police guns down someone in the street, they're going to back them. They're going to, and I know I'm going extreme with it, but we all know how it is. The referees, they protect their own. They're not going to hang a man out to dry. The only time they've not defended someone is when, obviously, David Coote with the video, there's no way you can dress that kind of up, Again, I don't want to be a conspiracy guy, but in the same way Liverpool fans probably feel about David Coote, I feel that way about Michael Oliver. Again, I don't even think it should be an appeals thing. I genuinely thought I'd wake up today, PGMOL, PFA, whoever's in charge, they would have said, you know what, this Lewis Skelly thing's done. And I feel sorry for Lewis Skelly because him and Ethan, they've been in and around the first team doing what they're doing in pre-season, and they're having great individual season and doing their thing. That was the first time they started in the Premier League together. Obviously, Lewis Skelly's been sent off. Indirectly, somebody's going to have to come off so we can chop and change. Ethan's been robbed of it, so it's a shame, man. The only thing I'd say, there'll be many more opportunities for them. It's farcical, man. And as I said, I genuinely still maintain, I think Arsenal fans are quick to be victims and do the conspiracy thing. But at the same logic, there is an agenda against this football club. There is, and it's not going to change. It ain't going to change. The only thing I would say, when you look at yesterday, we made it. We can't be held accountable for the referee's decisions, but to the controllables we can control, we found a way. We found a way, and it does. I don't want to be the conspiracy theorist guy, but as an Arsenal fan, sometimes I'll sit here and I think things are being engineered for Arsenal's demise beyond our hands. By all means, we can criticize the Cronkies, Arteta, the players, but it feels like we're being set up. What I would say to the players, if they were listening, I can't lie, I need to see siege mentality, us against the world. You look at any team or any team that's achieved anything, they have that kind of mentality. So let's just keep going with it. It's absolutely silly, man, because as I said, I think some Arsenal fans are victims, but at the same time, it's a thing. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like you can evidently see there's an issue, and everyone around you is telling you there's not an issue. So they're mind games in you, kind of thing. The club must appeal and petition for Oliver never to ref Arsenal games again. And I don't know if it's Arsene Wenger, I don't know if it's David Dean, I don't know whether it's a present Arsenal, someone involved with Arsenal or not. Either pay these refs their money so they can stop doing this nonsense, or somebody needs to stop banging someone's wife, because it's brazy. It's absolutely Michael Oliver's got a hard on for Arsenal in particular. It's ridiculous. 14.5% of Oliver's red cards have been for Arsenal players. So there's an unconscious bias. In the same way, yeah, it's a bit different. But you go back towards the early kind of Emirates days when we had the small diminutive players. Do you remember when we was labelled soft and we weren't giving fouls and we weren't doing this? That is that you know, when you come out and say this and the pundits are behaving like that and the refs, that becomes like the status quo, and that genuinely related to players breaking their legs. We've been here all day talking about that. So it's a shame. It is a shame, but unfortunately, Arsenal fans yesterday we won. We're gonna be sat here speaking about these kind of things again and again and again and again and again. All I'd say to the boys is, try and do, every time this happens, try to do what happened yesterday, innit? Like, just find a way to win, man. Like, I think Declan Rice tweeted or posted on Instagram or something, like, against all odds. As Fam Zone is saying here, siege mentality necessary. Do you know what? I think they've probably got that already, man, because when I look at the club, there's different question marks. But I would say for Mikel Arteta, for the vast majority of these players, like Ben White, there was a time no one was fucking with Ben White. Nobody could see what the project was at Arsenal, but they kept doing what they're doing. So I do kind of think they don't listen to outside influences. But at the same time, if they don't have a siege mentality, broski, you need to get that. The Ramsey leg snap, we've been here bare to Eduardo, Ramsey leg snap. There's bare of them. Even when man are getting elbowed, I stopped having energy for refs. I'm sure against Crystal Palace a few years ago. Now, I'm not saying James McArthur meant it, but do you remember when he absolutely volleyed, Wayne Rooney style, volleyed basically the calf of Bukayo Saka, and nothing happened? And I'm sure even in that game, what made it mad is Saka got booked for complaining. And do you know what the maddest thing is as well, yeah? It's one thing Michael Oliver making that mistake yesterday, yeah? We all know he's bad man, but let's just assume he's made a genuine mistake, because humans can make mistakes. Players, managers, everyone makes mistakes, right? Let's just assume he's made a mistake. What's going on with the VAR thing then? Like, what is going on with the VAR? Because that means the ref on field seen it, the team of refs have seen it, and they've not, like, that's a double error. So what's going on? I don't think there's a problem with VAR. It's the people that run it, in my opinion. So there's several issues. If we do not appeal this, and I don't even think it should get to appeals. I think the refs should just come out and say, I'm sure they did this with Bruno Fernandes. I could be wrong. And Mikel Arteta, I'm sure he mentioned it. They just came out and said, you know what, we got that wrong. The red card's a myth, really and truly. They need to do that. And for us, we've already got a depleted squad. Lewis Skelly's the first choice left back. I know Calafiori's flavour of the month now, but he's been doing, well, flavour of the week, but Lewis Skelly's been doing his thing. What? That's it. It's a straight red. So until something changes, people, don't forget to smash the likes. Until something changes, what? You're not playing against City now. You can play in the champs, ironically. I'll be real, I don't even know who we got in our next 3 games, but I know Man City's one of them. Let's actually look. And I don't know how, well, I don't know. Does this carry on into the League Cup? I don't know, but I'm just going to keep it Premier League. We've got City, Leicester away, which last time I checked, they were beating Spurs, and Vardy was pointing at the Premier League badge against Spurs. So yeah, he would miss City, Leicester away, City at home, Leicester away. I don't know for the League Cup against Newcastle, but if that counts, then he could miss that. But in the Premier, City, Leicester away, and West Ham at home, like, and the man's done nothing wrong, bro. The man's done nothing wrong. But obviously, if it carries into the League Cup, where we've got a mountain to climb in it, we're 2 goals down, which there's plenty of talking points about that. But at the end of the day, we're 2 goals down, going to St. James's Park, depleted squad, praying for signings. Lewis Skelly's one of the first names on the team sheet, haven't doing his thing, and he's being robbed of an opportunity now. So yeah, man. So yeah, if it carries into the Newcastle game, so yeah, he misses. That would mean he could play in the midweek in the champs, but that means he misses City. He misses City, Newcastle away, and Leicester away, and then he's back for West Ham at home. Then I'll be amazed, man. Oliver's a Newcastle fan, seen the photo, DG. I have seen it, and I'm conflicted. Like, listen, I'm not defending Michael Oliver, but you can be a fan of whatever club you want to be a fan of. Like, if that's what you're doing, that's what you're doing, innit? But you need to be able to put that aside. You need to be able to put that aside. You can do that. You can put on the shirts and do all of that, but you need to be able to put that to the side and have some integrity. And you can't. And you Michael Oliver, there's no way you can look yourself in the mirror and say you're a man of integrity. If you genuinely made a mistake, which I don't believe, fair, but you've got something against Arsenal, and this doesn't go unchecked. Again, he's a human being. He has conscious and unconscious biases. We all do. And in football, whether that's, a certain philosophy a manager might have. A player might be good for his team, but because of his unconscious bias, he might want tiki-taka, but my man's 6 foot plus. Indirectly don't want them. So managers have that, players have that. You expect me, fans have that, but you expect me not to believe refs don't have that. But again, we're going to be here, unfortunately, Arsenal fans. Many a times this season and throughout the years, we're going to be here, man. What I would say, well, no, it doesn't apply to Wolves. There's a lot of decisions that, like even Joe Linton's yesterday, I'm sure, for Southampton against Southampton, I genuinely thought, if you was an Arsenal player, you wouldn't play any Premier League football. Again, Joe Linton, you do what you're doing. But it's very crazy to me seeing them challenges there go uncontested week in, week out. And boy, Lewis Skelly basically for breathing, essentially. Don't get twisted, for what it's worth. I think it was a yellow. No debate about that. But a red, let alone a straight red. Fair enough, man. The refs are human. They'll always have biases, especially when they have refed these teams for years. That's why we should remove the human element as much as possible. He's saying AI robots and that. I feel for Lewis Skelly. He's the victim of injustice. Oliver is anti-Arsenal and it doesn't bother me. It is what it is, man. Smash the likes, as PTMS said, man. Watch them pricks, Dermot Gallagher and Howard Webb defend Oliver. Of course they are. That's it, Regin. Like their kids probably go same school. They went to each other's weddings and all of that. They're not gonna draw each other out. Again, it's a bit like Gary Neville. Like when mainly around the English players, when it's time to go full on, Gary Neville, you know how Gary Neville is. When it's a player or a manager that he's rubbed shoulders with in some capacity, he mind games is it all. Best case scenario, Oliver is shit at his job. Worst case scenario, the corruption is rife. It is, and I don't want to take it there, but let's be brutally honest. Yeah, we're hated as a club, anyways. Going back to the George Graham days. Yeah, we all know when it was Ferguson versus Wenger, and Mike Dean was a villain. I think that plays a part. I also think how we're judged in general, and maybe indirectly refereeing, is we are the club of the culture. Arsene Wenger was the first foreign manager to come here and do his thing. I do think these things kind of play a part into how we're refed, how we're judged, how we're spoken about in the media, yada yada yada. Don't get it twisted. So you all know some Arsenal fans are very special and whatnot, especially online, but you get the point. Whichever game is important towards the end of the season, Oliver will be there. Boy, and if there is some fairy tale for us this season to turn around our season and win a trophy, and if we're talking about the Prem, we've got Liverpool at Anfield. Would he get that? He would. Respectfully to Wolves, Arsenal versus Wolves, probably not the most viewed game in the Premier League 38 game calendar, right? But you could see Oliver, because he's shown incompetence here, he will get a North London derby. Not that there's any this season. He'll get the Manchester derby. He'll get City versus Liverpool. He'll get a must-win relegate, like I don't know, Wolves versus Ipswich. Whoever wins stays in the division. He will get rewarded with these games where you'll be in high pressure moments. And then even going back to the Kovacic one last season where he's done a madness to Declan Rice and Odegaard, I'm sure. He said in the aftermath, he didn't want to ruin the game or some jazz like that. Either you don't want to ruin the game or right is right and wrong is wrong. Don't get it twisted. I understand it. Like you're indirectly making the game about you. But right is right, wrong is wrong. If everybody can only make the right decision when it's comfortable, nothing is going to get done. So then what are we doing here? So you didn't want to ruin the game in that game, but you don't think you've ruined the game in the first half where my man's like 70, 80 meters away from his own goal. And again, I can forgive like the human eye. If you gave the red first time, things are happening bare fast, fair. But Oliver, you've got your CV's a bit mad and VAR. But I will drive myself crazy, and I'm sure you lot will trying to rationalize what the hell happened and why that happened. One of the most scandalous, and I've seen a lot of BS at this football club. We all have, yeah. Both, stuff that we've caused and stuff excluding. But that's got to be the most ridiculous red card I think I've seen, Like, I'd have to go back in time. The only one I would say that is on par with that is when Kieran Gibbs got sent off instead of Oxlade-Chamberlain initially. If I make a mistake at work, my life's on the line. Yeah, because you might not be able to feed your kids. I don't see there's a big conspiracy against us, but all these refs grew up with us dominating and they're getting revenge for their childhood trauma. I hear it. I do think us Arsenal fans exaggerate. For my thing is, I do think some Arsenal fans exaggerate this conspiracy thing and it's a woe is me. But I do think there's legitimate truth in some agenda against Arsenal, if I'm honest. I defo believe that. Because we all know, whether it was the games yesterday or the games today or the games next week, The Premier League is weird. The exact same incident will happen in 2 separate games, and they have 2 separate outcomes. And this is why I'm saying they don't want consistency. They don't want competent referees. It adds to the entertainment product of the Premier League. We are waffling about it. It's going to be said on TV. It's, that's probably extended talking points over the weekend. Monday morning, like that happened yesterday. Monday morning, it's going to be spoken of. They don't want competent referees. With all the money in the game and everything, if they wanted competency, it would be there. It would be there. It really would. Expressions doing crazy numbers due to Spurs' form. Big up Expressions, man. But to be fair, he's going to do crazy numbers regardless. Would you take 1 million if they said Arsenal's going to have a bad season, DG? Yeah. Big up Arsenal, but £1 million? Yeah. 100%. Not this you, man. Hey, you was in fans on stick as well. Yeah, you are well, lad, man. You know what? You already got dealt with by D, man. So I'm just gonna block you, man. You're an idiot, and we ain't got time for the racism thing. Rewarding failure is crazy. You can't. Any walk of life, any job, if you're not good at it, you're gonna lose your job or whatever. In some jobs, because of the nature of the business, if you make one mistake, you might even lose your life. You might dead. But referees, it's got to be the best. I can't lie. I think it's the best occupation. You're protected. You don't really lose your jobs. You're almost the main character. Your mistakes are hidden. And I think obviously, I do think in general, we're never gonna like refs. They're never gonna ever like be universally liked. But at the same time, a part of me just feels, if you just come out and say, I effed up, I made the mistake, this, that, and the other, it's not that people forgive you, but it goes a long way, man. Oliver does stuff that has been and will never be seen again in the Prem. Amen, man. Amen. Was at the game yesterday, and all I can say is disgusting bad officials. Rossi, big up yourself. At least it worked out in the end, man. And you're right, man. You do have to control the controllables. Make sure you're subscribing, you're smashing the like button, people, and you're following Fams on TV. What about the times decisions benefited Arsenal? That's my point. That's why I think we can't do the conspiracy thing. Sometimes it goes against you. Sometimes it goes for you. I want competent refereeing regardless. And that's my mentality if I was an Arsenal fan or anyone else. That's my mentality playing Sunday League. Because for me, I can't lie. Anyone that's played amateur football, your coaches tell you from early, expect the refs to do any BS. Anyone that used to play for or against Broadwater Farm, which I can say I did both. You remember a coach called Clasford, big him up. He did mad things. But Clasford, you was a cheater as a referee. You was a cheater. Like, he would give decisions for his team. So you're told to just keep it moving. And even if we want to go down there, I'm not trying to say the woe is me. How many decisions have gone against Arsenal? Even when we look at, do you know what? I always think the 2022-23 season where Old Trafford, we lost, fair enough, no complaints. Ironically, Anthony scored and he's gone on loan. Martinelli's goals ruled out incorrectly. There's definitely an agenda. DG, remember the David Luiz red card? We always get done dirty against Wolves. There you have it. Who's in here and isn't subscribed? Show yourself. Be real. Tell them again, man. Oh, Michael is an idiot, man. But the Spurs actually is confirmed they lost. Because I was starting to do the verbal thing on social media and everything. But I thought, you know what? 2-1. Leicester ain't been amazing. You want to talk nonsense when it's confirmed. But is it actually confirmed they've lost? Everywhere they go. Hey, big up Lily White's FC, man. Big up Lily White's FC. Leicester, one love. Jamie Vardy, amazing. I did see the goals because they got surfaced online. To say Spurs is defending is amateur, and I don't want to hear nothing about injuries. I don't want to hear it. In the same way, Chelsea, I don't care what Maresca's got to say. I don't care about their fans. You were in a title race because in 2022-23, when all us Arsenal fans tried to say, no, we're not in a title race, you bullied us to get involved. You lot in it, it's capitulated. If I hear anything about Arsenal bottled the league and we let Arne Slot win it, that's cool. You can do that. You're involved. It's been a good weekend, man. The Pagans are losing. Just need Fulham, and we will be doing a watch along. We just need Fulham to absolutely demolish Manchester United. Now that I said that, it's probably going to be a smash and grab, but completely off topic. I am praying for a 2-3-1 Fulham. I need Iwobi, Smith Rowe, Pereira. I'm sure Pereira's at Fulham. That was your team, Man United. I need them to the Pagans. And you could speak about City, but no one don't know no City fans, man. A man said not Lily White's, Lily Phillips FC. You're mad, man. We didn't bully you. What are you referring to? Well done, Leicester. What are you referring to? You guys bottled it, unlike Chelsea. I mean, you can say that, but Chelsea were second. They spent £1 billion. Agendas have to agenda. If we're in that, they're in that as well. I don't care what their manager said about we're not in it and this, that, and the other. They have now gone from being in that to where they are now. Don't think I didn't see the headlines on social media and the content creators saying, oh, Chelsea are above Arsenal in the title race and whatnot. We're here for it. That's a cool story, man. They should have won the league twice already. Oh, you're seeing their content creators come out and want you saying spent £1 billion. Spot on with everything you're saying, DG. Michael Oliver and some of his colleagues have targeted bias against Arsenal. All we can do is rise above it, innit? It's either we rise above it and we try to do the gentleman thing we've tried to do as a football club, or sometimes you got to do dirty things in life to live clean. I can't lie, I'm on the Sir Alex Ferguson thing. You know what? You lot got an issue. Money talks. Like, pay off these dons, man. Because again, I'm 29. I grew up with Man United getting some dodgy decisions. And again, I must admit, I'm always going to have an agenda against referees purely because of, if anything, if I had to boil it down to one particular moment, I'm not going to lie, it would be when Arsenal's invincible record ended at Old Trafford. Gary Neville as well. The game's the game. I'm not even criticizing Man United, but like, I still remember that game vividly. And I'm sure a lot of you lot do as well. I think the Prem will be decided next week. If Bournemouth win against Liverpool and we beat City, we win the league. But that's a very small chance. Bournemouth are very tough right now. I'm not going to lie. I think Liverpool win the league. I hope for a miracle because on one hand, if we're looking at life beautifully, yeah, I do think, in fact, let's stick on this for a minute, because I do think, yeah, you need to be level-headed when you speak about Arsenal. You can want Arteta in, out. You could say the Cronkies aren't to blame. They're to blame. You could say the players are good. You could say they're bad. But it's a bit of a madness when you look through it. Like us Arsenal fans, we have, and I'm not saying this to be cool for no reason, but we have been sitting there moaning about stuff. You know, our Premier League record isn't amazing, but in terms of defeats, when was the last time we tasted defeat in the league? We're still second. We're in a better place, but essentially having the same discussions. And it would be romantic. I think we shot ourselves in the foot. It'd be romantic if we win the league. And I say that purely because you look at the last 3 games. I think I can't remember the last game, admittedly. I can't remember who we got on the last day, but we've got to go to St. Mary's in Southampton. Now, many people will look at that and say, what are you talking about, DG? Arsenal fans, you know, St. Mary's, even in the 2022-23 season, we struggled there. St. Mary's away is dark. Anfield is dark. So if we somehow get back in this, win at Anfield, I couldn't tell you the last time we won in the Prem at Anfield. It could be amazing, but I do think we shot ourselves in the foot, man. I feel it's just, we've got a good bunch of players, got a good bunch of lads. It's now just some small marginal gains that have the best difference for us are in issues. I wouldn't say the league's decided next week though, man, because until it's mathematically done, it's not done really. Like, as much as, you know, Liverpool are running away with it, 2-3 losses, different conversations are being said. And even now, I watch a lot of Liverpool supporting content creators, and yeah, they're happy to be top, but they're not exactly happy as Larry, you know, like they're quite, not necessarily on onslaught, but they're quite critical of how they're playing and the need for signings and all of that kind of jazz, which I'm sure every football fan has to say. Not even the Wolves fans were happy about the horrendous decision on either side of the pot. I'm not going to lie. Wolves, big up you lot, but that's your thing with the ref. I'm not going to lie. It did look like 2 yellows over them sides, but I hear it. We need everyone. And to be honest with you, I'm not that fans can change anything, but it's a thing where forget the Arsenal and forget the tribalism. Like, fans need to unite against inconsistent refereeing. Like, I'm not saying there can never not be mistakes and all of those things. This is football at the end of the day. But every week there's something, whether it's Arsenal or someone else, every week there's a scandalous decision. And then once again, people, the same incident that an identical incident will happen in 2 games with 2 very different outcomes. And again, for me, maybe I'm naive. I think it's like that on purpose. You look at the people that control the game we love, people. If they're too smart for this to be a coincidence. Let's talk about Havertz's 3 missed chances yesterday. I have a source very close to Arteta. Arsenal won't be signing anyone this window. No money, apparently. I'll leave you with your sources. You know, I hear you if that's what you're doing. Kai Havertz, I'm not even, again, I don't want to, I do think he's a bit of a scapegoat. I think I've exhausted all my points with Kai Havertz. I do think he should have scored yesterday. But it's the same old. Like, we need a striker in it. You're not a clinical man. So I kind of expect that with Kai. And Kai's not picking himself. He didn't buy himself. I actually think he does all the other aspects of the game relatively well. If it was me, we sign a left winger. Between now and the summer, we sign a next level left winger that's better than what we have. We sign a serious number 9. Kai Havertz, you're part of the squad. That don't mean you're not getting game time and things, but we do this thing where we take squad players and make them regulars. And I could say a few names. I think we did that with Kai Havertz. I think we did that with Gabriel Jesus. I think we did that with Zinchenko. I think we don't really seen him, but I think we're doing that with Moreno. I think we did that with Giroud, actually. So, yeah, it is what it is. I hope we sign someone. I must admit, I'll be very... Any little optimism I have of winning a league title, winning a trophy or whatever, which I'm quite pessimistic on our hopes of that, people. If we don't sign anyone, I'd be a lot more pessimistic, purely because we got bare injuries. Now we're getting dodgy red cards. We don't have any numbers. That we've had a lot of games and there's a lot more to come. Obviously, Saka's missing, and to be honest with you, I was never optimistic on us winning trophies, as you lot know, this season. But when Saka got injured against Crystal Palace, that was beyond the obvious. That was a bitter pill to swallow. Like even when he put on his Instagram how he's watching the game, it don't feel the same not seeing Saka, man. It really don't, man. It don't feel the same, man. This is why I'm on the Jonathan David train. That's where the bar is up front. It seems like his current club are just saying, you know what, Jonathan, if you want to leave on the free, you can leave on the free, but we're keeping you for now. Never seen a ref get sacked to replace except for that cold kid. Yeah, unless you do a mad thing, like a madness or some scandal with you comes out off the field. Because David Coote never got sacked for any decision. Again, I think David Coote is to Liverpool what Michael Oliver is to Arsenal for the fans, innit? Whether I ain't got no examples of David Coote, admittedly, off the top of my head, but whether he's a good referee or not, that ain't the reason he was sacked. It's because you said that disgusting language, you said something about Klopp's a German, whatever, and it's the fact that the video got leaked. It's got nothing to do with how you have or haven't reffed. So if he just shut his mouth, if my man, it looked a bit of a dodgy video, they're very close to each other. If my man who done the video doesn't do that, we don't talk about stuff. It's just they can't defend that, innit? He looked off his rocker as well. What position does Cunha play for us if we sign him? You know what? I'm conflicted with Cunha, yeah, because on one hand, I'm having Cunha. Like I think at the very minimum, you're going to be like the long-term kind of Trossard. I think you'd be a good player to have in the squad, and we'd have better attackers in it. But I don't think he fixes anything. Like beyond, it sounds dumb, but beyond him just being Premier League proven, a good player, yeah, arguably better than what we've got in certain positions, I don't think it fixes anything, because you can play as a 10, you can play on the left wing, you can play up front. You clearly are a good player. I've said it before. The only reason I know about Cunha is because when I used to do them scout reports, Reece Nelson was on loan at the club he was at. Ironically, Joe Linton was up front. And I didn't think much of Cunha. I thought he was a good player, of course. He's a good player. Went Atletico, still didn't think that. At Wolves, I think he's found his feet. But you don't fix anything. I'm having you for the squad because we got more bodies and you're Premier League proven. You could play in the 10 if Odegaard's not there. You're not playing as a... Admittedly, I'm not really on the false nine thing, and I'm talking about when people want to run it with Trossard and in that case, Cunha. It's not that I'm not against it. I feel a couple games this season you can get away with it, but it's not something I want to see extended past that. I would say for Arsenal at this moment in time, if assuming Cunha signed right now, surely it's got to be left wing. And yeah, you can say Odegaard's form hasn't been there, and ironically, Odegaard he had to get sent home yesterday. He's sick. But if everyone's fit, I don't think you're playing in that midfield. I think Kai Havertz, whether he's better than you or you're better than him, is another thing, but I think he plays up front. So it's off the left. Admittedly, I'm desperate for signings. It's not my money, not that I've got 50, 60 odd million quid spare. Bring Cunha, but yeah, beyond being a good player, being able to mix in the squad, I don't see at this moment in time what he specifically fixes in terms of the skill set we're missing, if that makes sense, people. And you know what? Obviously, you can't be judging a man off one game, but if somebody was naive and they just wanted to, they seen the Cunha links and they obviously, it's Wolves versus Arsenal, they're watching him under a fine eye. Didn't really, not that anyone was really amazing, technically. I don't think he did anything yesterday. We'll get into it in a sec, but actually, I don't know if it means anything, but Richard Garlick, Tim Lewis, all of them were watching the game at Wolves' place. Now, why they were, I don't know. They work for Arsenal. They probably, by default, get the best tickets in town, innit? But why are they there? Why are they there? And again, I don't want to, 2 + 2 = 4. I don't want 2 + 2 to = 10 people, but coincidentally, we're linked with Cunha, Arsenal versus Wolves. The executives are over them sides, or the people that somewhat make some decisions that impact who is at this club and who's not, they're at Wolves. Now, it could be for someone that's completely unrelated to what we're talking about in relation to Cunha. The man who got sent off in Gomez, we was linked with him a few weeks ago. And the Cunha thing, I don't know, man. I really don't know. I really don't know. I really don't know what's going on there, because he's been linked with several clubs. He's been linked with Spurs. Lol, can rule them out. They ain't got the money and it's not a good project. Been linked with Aston Villa. That'd be a great signing. Emery's doing his thing over there. Been linked with Man United, massive club. Been linked with Arsenal, massive club. Been linked with Chelsea. Chelsea buy more players than they can count. Who else has he been linked with? Newcastle, great project over there. Nottingham Forest. Like, is the agent playing one big game? Because we hear that when Arsenal were linked with him. Then we were all led to believe he signed a new deal. Now he ain't signed a new deal, but it's on the table. The manager's come out and criticized his body language. So it feels like he's trying to keep his options open. I think if he doesn't move in January, I don't think it'd be the wisest decision to sign a new deal. But I think if he doesn't move in the next week or so, how many times you'll see a man sign a new deal? Maybe it's got a release clause and it's set up in a way you can cut in the summer. If he genuinely wants to leave and that move does not happen at this moment in time, naturally, with 2 years left on your deal in the summer, it doesn't make sense to sign that. So we'll have to see, man. You'll have to see. If we were linked with Jota before he went to Liverpool, who would have wanted him? I would have said Jota. 100%. I would have said Jota. Because I do think we need to pick up the Trossard. I don't know if Trossard's the best example, but everybody knew Trossard was a gunman at Brighton. He was doing his thing. We picked him up. Ironically, Mikel Arteta's attacking signings is in debate. Trossard's probably been, in terms of value for money, one of the better ones. And I know the game's changed, but if you pick up a little Cunha, Kudus, I'm exaggerating, but Isak, you get the point, you know, the best of the rest with the greatest of respect. You get a couple of them, you've got a good squad. Liverpool did it. At the point of them signing players, apart from Alisson and Van Dijk, no one was really rating these guys like that. You know, Wijnaldum was doing his thing at Wolves. They copped that. Robertson got relegated, but he was a standout. They got that. Mane was there. Like, we as Arsenal fans, we knew Mane was a baller because he used to tear Arsenal apart at Southampton. They grabbed him. Somebody scouted Salah. They grabbed him. And before you know it, you get all of these guys together, even a little Joe Gomez from Charlton. You recruit well, suddenly you've got a decent crop of boys. I'm not saying we don't. I actually think we've got good players. I don't think the squad's big enough. I do think we're missing X factor. I do think, you know, now as we're moving the conversation on as to, yeah, big up the rebuild and all of that stuff, we're trying to get over the line, a Prem, a Champs. I feel we need to be able to answer questions now. Who is getting the goals? Who is doing this? Who is doing that? In the attacking sense, I do think on their day they can all chip in, they can all do well. But hand on your heart, if we were to put our life savings on it, Saka is the only one you're going to really bet on is going to do the majority of the business from August until May, right? So for me, I want someone that's levels in terms of output and importance to Saka on the left-hand side. Whether we can get that or not is another thing. Dare I say even 50%. If you got another winger, versatile winger, if you got a striker, if you could get something out of Gabriel Jesus when he's back from his ACL, if Kai can keep chipping in, if Trot starts here and he's chipping in, I'll kind of give up with this. But if Martinelli could start scoring goals again, we're calm. And Arteta keeps speaking about wanting goals from midfield. If we can do that, we're calm. Goals win games. And I need to know, a part of winning stuff is how good are you at your worst. That's why I hear what you lot are saying about the Champions League. We're still in it. So by default, we could win it. I'm pessimistic on that because I think the Champions, on one hand, I think the European model, it's more suited to how we kind of play. I think teams don't necessarily just sit back against us and do all that low block. They're fairly open. I think we've been able to win games on fine margins. But for me in the Champions League, when you get to the serious stages, it's knockouts. It's not in the Premier League. There's been times we've won, lost, or drawn. We've probably been the better team for 90 minutes. We've had the shots, we've had the possession. But then, I hear that. But then you have to look at the result. The result dictates the narrative, especially in knockout football. In the 2 legs against Bayern Munich last season, I think we gave a good account of ourselves. I was more impressed with how we played at home than away. But the fine margins, they did it. One little mistake with Raya moving mad than someone else. Sane put it in the back of the net. We probably should have had a penalty and we did have opportunities. If Saka's not there, I don't think we got that. Obviously, we're not Real Madrid and they got heritage and they got all of this, yeah. But you look at their performances in the knockout stages, the last couple of times they've won the champs. Have they necessarily been the best team across the 2-legged 90-minute ties? They haven't. But they've made the difference. And I don't feel we've got got of them guys that are going to make the difference. And it's not even just the star players, because you can talk about Real Madrid. You got you got Mbappe, you got Vinicius, you got all of them. But it's the Rebos. Like, it's not that he's a Rebo, but you got it's the Vasquezes. It's It's the ones that are not necessarily the biggest shirt sellers that also chip in. And that's probably what we need to do, man. I actually think we're so close to getting what we all want. But now it's just about that final push from Mikel Arteta, from the players and the recruitment staff, man. DG, do you remember the last time we scored a last-minute goal to take us to victory from defeat or draws? Feels like that game against Wolves was the closest. Not many this season, it seems. When you said that, I don't know why. Maybe it's because Leicester are playing at the moment, but I thought Leicester, when Welbeck scored a couple of years ago, Bournemouth's got to be one, surely, where Reece Nelson scored a couple of years ago. Luton's got to be up there. I'm sure Luton last year, there actually might be a couple from last season, actually. I don't know about last minute, but Gabriel Jesus and that against Man United at the Emirates. There are probably a couple more. There's probably a couple more. But if Wolves are going to shaft us when they are close to relegation, I'll chase someone else. It depends. If you're Wolves, I'm not going to lie. You know what? It's one where you'd love to be a fly on the wall. It all depends how much noise Cunha is making. Like, it all depends how much his head is turned. Because, again, I know it's not the same, but when I'm seeing their manager criticizing body language, when you're hearing 1 minute you're signing a new deal and then you're not, where is his headspace at? Now, on one hand, I do believe as a footballer, even if there's noise around you and you're going to leave and that, it's in your best interest once you go on that field to eliminate that, because it's irrelevant. It all depends, because I'm sure they want to fight tooth and nail to keep him and etc. And yeah, Sam, no one cares about United today, mate. Like, first win in 5 years, we don't care. Stop insert. You don't even like Liverpool fans, just inserting yourselves in this, man. Big up yourself or go away, man. We're out here arguing with each other and all our shortlists are 10 players deep. I'd be surprised if the club shortlist was even 3 deep. I'm not trying to find excuses for the club, yeah, but I do think there's probably bare names. But then there's all the other nuances and stuff that we're not privy to as fans. Like, there might be a man that them man want to sign, but he doesn't want to leave until the summer, or this agent is asking for this, so we're not going to do that. I do think there's a shortlist, but at the end of the day, like, it's all fun and games having shortlists. We need to be getting stuff, man. Swear an Athletic article came out saying they're aware we're missing the X factor or something, and still nothing. Edu and Kroenkes are doing great. It did when we went out the champs. Now, it's difficult to find players with X factor. Of course, there are some exceptions to the rules. There's some that are quote unquote obtainable, right? But you either put the P's down, like the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 100 millions. You know, we all know them kind of players there, the Isaks, and we're not gonna get in, but Yalma, Vinicius, these guys. You either put the P's down or you get these guys before they're kind of known as that. Because who's really got who's really got the X factor in our team like that? Obviously, in the attackers, clearly just Saka, with the greatest of respect. For me, I'd say Rice, because I think when the going gets tough, Rice is a trench baby. Rice doesn't. People can listen. If you're not related to Arsenal, you can criticize him and do whatever. But when things go left, and it's adversity and it's time, even when we've lost or we've dropped points, Rice stands up to be counted. Obviously, William Saliba, Gabriel, and there's a couple other players, but we need more. We need more. Like, Real Madrid are not going to live. Obviously, we're not Real Madrid, but if Vinicius is having a bad day, there's a next one. Even going back to the point I said, as much as it's about Vinicius and these ones, bro, guys like Joselu making a difference. Ceballos has come off the bench. Vasquez has come off the bench. What's the other Spanish youth they had? And he went PSG. Asensio here and there. Brahim Diaz. Like, there's all those things that go into it, man. I want big trophies, but this squad needs more quality. I think to the starting 11, for me anyways, to the immediate starting 11, like, if we just assumed everybody's fit, I would argue, for me, I would need to see 3 signings. Like, I don't know what you lot's strongest 11 would be. And admittedly, defense, there's a bit of mix and blend and things like that. But starting 11 with everybody fit, of course, you know, you look at Lewis Skelly, he's going to be in that. But all right, let's do it right now then. Let's do it what we see in the current climate. Best starting 11 for me at this moment in time. Obviously, Saliba, Gabriel, David Raya, Timber at right back, Lewis Skelly at left back, Martin, Wondergaard, Partey and Rice. Well, we said right now, innit, Saka would be on the right, but it's going to be Martinelli. Then you got Trossard, then you got Havertz. For me, I think you can get a midfielder. Now, if we're getting Zubimendi, I'm not against Rice continuing as an 8. I'm saying my preference would be someone who has a skill set more alike into Cesc Fabregas and Asante. But I do think you need an 8. Cool, let's just say midfielder. So I'd say a midfielder. I think we need better quality on the left-hand side, with the greatest of respect to Trossard and Martinelli. And Kai can keep being part of the squad, but evidently you need a 9. Then I think it's about the depth. I think the depth is quite shocking at our club. And big up Ethan and Lewis Skelly, who have also had their own injury issues. If them two never rose to the occasion, we'd have even less to work with. Tierney, completely off topic, yeah, but almost shed a tear against Wolves when Tierney came off the bench and he put a cross in. Like, it was a very good cross. It came to nothing. Tierney obviously got injured in the summer, or he would have been gone. And so you could argue if them 3 players that I mentioned weren't there, we're even more down to our bare bones. Ironically, going down to 10 men yesterday probably not suited us, but suited us in terms of the personnel. So, yeah, man, that's the frustrating thing with me, because I know it's easy for us as armchair experts to sit here and say, we'll do this, we'll do that, I would have done this, I would have done that, I would make this happen. But it feels like we're talking about the same old things, man. Evan Ferguson, come on. Is that guy still alive? Striker, left centre mid, left wing in that order. All three need top class players. A left winger and a striker fixes everything. I don't think it fixes everything, my bro. But it goes a long way. But this is what I'm saying. Like, we will all probably argue about their names. Like, I might say Isak's the guy, whether we get them or not. Isak's the guy. This one's saying Duran's the guy. But we're still talking about striker. Left wing, one man might say Nico Williams. The next one might say Rafael. Some Arsenal fans, got a fetish with fixing broken toys. Someone's going to throw Rashford in there. Someone's going to say all of them are dead. But we all know a winger, right? Centre mid. We're all saying this. So it's like, whether they must know in the club. They must know. Whether they know, they must know. But whether they know is irrelevant to me, because I'm not at London Coley. If I was and I saw, maybe the deals that you tried to make happen and it didn't, and I could see actually directly, no, this is Kroenke's fault, this is Arteta's fault, this is Edu's fault, I might look at it differently. But that's not my job. I'm an ignorant fan. My job is to go to the stadium or watch on TV, support the boys, be fair in my criticisms, and deal with what's in front of me. You can tell me you tried to sign players. I can only look at what's there. And I don't think Arteta is faultless, but I do always look at the certain comments. Like, he's kind of begging for signings recently. And then you look at the start of 2024 and the end of it, he said we've got one of the smallest squads. Now, everyone that's come in or gone is indirectly down to Arteta. But if you're saying that in the public, you must know. You must be saying this to Kroenke or this one or that one. And again, I'm not here to say be pro Arteta, be fully against Arteta. You're all in this together, because you all tell me you want to win trophies. You all tell me about fine margins. You all tell me about X factor. When you do things, praise. When things look left, I'm asking questions. And I think that's what support is. I do think in this day and age of hyper opinions and engagement, where you got man that just do the mad thing and everything's terrible. For those that, and then you got people that just do the overly positive thing, I think the lines get blurred for me. Like, I must admit, Arsenal content is exhausting, because I do think those that are all doom and gloom, I think there's a lot of, I'm someone who listens to people, innit? And I think I might not necessarily agree with everything you say, but you might drop a nugget there. I think there is legitimacy in there. But then I think there's positive to the point of being toxic, to the point where it gets a bit culty, specifically with Mikel Arteta. It gets a bit culty. Anything close to constructive criticism is seen as you're attacking him, you're doing this, you're doing that, and the third, which for me everyone's allowed to support and voice their opinions in the way they want to, innit? I always say on my channel, I don't tell you what to think, just think. If you've thought about it and you're saying this, fair play, but it's exhausting is all I'm saying. Hate when you say we need an upgrade at a position and someone says, but who would you bring in? Like, broski, if I had 100% success rate on transfers, I'd be one of the richest men in football. If everyone is saying we need to improve the same positions, we're so damn close and the owners don't want to get over the line. I hear you. And you could argue that, because I do think obviously Arteta might even sign even more goalies and left backs and all of those kind of things, right? But if we had Chelsea's owners, I think some of these questions are redundant, because them man want to do something. To a degree, we know the Kroenkes, it's self-sustaining, it's this, that, and the third. I look back at the summer and I think Arteta might have gone about stuff the wrong way with the budget he had, but based on what you said at the end of last season, the fact that you finished second, 2 points behind City, we're coming into last summer thinking, yeah, you know what, this, that, market, we're going to do something in the market and get closer. When you're, and again, you do need to sell. We do need to get better at selling, but it seemed like there was away from everything. It seems like there was an emphasis on getting players out and that PSR stuff. It does feel like we took too long to get deals done. And there's no way you can look at that summer and think, yeah, Arteta might have messed up with the signings, but there's no way he looked at that summer and thought, yeah, the Cronkies want to close the gap on City. You can't. Even, and I know it's easy to just talk about signings, but even in the current climate, people, even in January, like you've got no sporting director. Your manager is basically begging for signings. Bodies are dropping. And if bodies are not dropping, man are getting red cards. It's not sustainable, really, and true. There's no Bukayo Saka, which was our savior 9 times out of 10 and was ever fit. If we're having these conversations, Arteta, the recruitment staff, and maybe even the Cronkies might have had that. But at the same time, I don't think you can just get the Cronkies, because what if they say, you know what, Arteta, we backed you, took us from 8th to 8th. You wanted you wanted money for a goalie, we gave you that. You wanted money for a new goalie, we gave you that. You want left backs galore, we gave you that. 65 for Kai Havertz, this for Rice, that for Moreno. We've given you everything. Just like how at one point do we say, you know what, we want to see a bit more return, we want to see a bit more bang for our buck. Even when you go back to Zinchenko and Jesus, I genuinely think as a club, not necessarily Arteta and the players, I think as a club, I think we're in these conversations way more than they've wanted to be. Like the 2022-23 season, I don't think they expected a title challenge, and subsequently where we've ended up. Because, you know, you look at Zinchenko and Gabriel Jesus, whether it's injuries or whatever, both of them made a very big impact on this football club in their debut season. Beyond that, they got left, right? Like, Jesus is not the guy, but you could still be part of the squad. You're not the guy. Zini, you can't defend. At the end of the day, we need to be able to defend, save. We've left them. So it's like we didn't look at it and say, yo, immediate, better left back, striker, immediate. So it's like, it does feel like for us to win a trophy, well, a major one, it feels like a lot of things on the footballing field have to go right. For me anyways, man. I want Hatto as well, man. Osimhen is a must, so Arteta go and get him. We're not getting Osimhen, though. In my opinion, we're not going for no Osimhen. You never know. And who am I? I'm just on YouTube, but I just don't think we're going for Osimhen, people. Smash the like button and subscribe if you're new here. Once again, Lewis Skelly got sent off yesterday, yeah? The same referee for the Martin Odegaard thing and the Declan Rice thing. What's going on? You make yourself crazy. And it's word to Arsene Wenger. If I die, I'm going to ask God where the refs are before choosing between heaven and hell. Boy, Arsenal have now received 4 red cards in the Premier League this season. Declan Rice in the 49th minute against Brighton, which I was there. I was baffled. I was at the game. I genuinely thought it was the Brighton lad. You could say it was harsh. You cannot also argue you know what you're doing. Fair enough, innit? It is what it is. Trossard, I must admit, I can't lie. I think Trossard knew what he's doing. I actually think Trossard, and it's a safe space. When I go on other platforms, I'm not going to say this, but it's a safe space with us Arsenal fans. I think Trossard knew what he's doing. The ref wanted to make it a Bayern. Wait, hang on, back. Wait there. I just clocked. This was Michael Oliver. Oh my, yeah, you are doing madness against my football club. I was so fixated on City last season. I forgot you were the guy with Trossard. Saliba, I think Saliba is a red, innit? I know some people got something different to say. I think it's a red. Lewis Skelly, you got done dirty. And you know what the saddest thing is, yeah? Is there's never a good time to get a red card. But you look at Declan Rice in the 49th minute, Trossard in the 45th, Saliba against Bournemouth in the 30th, Lewis Skelly in the 43rd. They're coming at pivotal moments in the game. And ironically, you see the Brighton game where Declan Rice was sent off. We should have killed that game in the first half. Trossard against City, it sucks because obviously we conceded first. We got us a screamer from Calafiori. Then I think Gabriel scored. It looked like we were settled. And I do one does wonder what if. And I actually shout out the boys for how they defended. And it was a bitter pill to swallow with the late goal. But one does wonder if that happens in another game. And what if it's 11 versus 11? We could have drew, we could have lost. We'll never know. Saliba, we were shit at Bournemouth away, innit? Nobody's mocking losing to Bournemouth now, are they? But we were shit in it. It is what it is. But 11 versus 11, you never know. You really never know. And Lewis Skelly, fortunately, we got away with it. We won the game, but boy, I can't believe it, man. I really can't believe it. I can't believe it. He is now, Michael Oliver, sent off 8 Arsenal players in his career, more than any other team. It's crazy. And Michael Oliver has awarded significantly more reds and yellows versus Arsenal than any other team. Also, significantly more penalties against than most teams. Now, I guess, not to defend him, but you could have refed certain games more than others, especially the high pressure ones. Boy, And I'm not on this conspiracy thing. I really don't want to talk about this beyond this live stream, but come on now. Even if his pals and those that decide, I don't even know how they decide who refs what, when they ref what. Stop having him involved for Arsenal. Just cool off and go elsewhere. But yeah, like the data is there, innit? The data is there. And big up Alan Shearer, as he said, how on earth Darren England, the VAR, thinks that referee has got it right? One of the worst decisions I've seen in a long time. And again, Michael Oliver, VAR, what's going on? What's going on? Michael Oliver's one thing. What's going on with the VAR? One was given as a yellow and one was given as a red. So even that, the integrity is not making sense, because the same things that led to João Gomez getting sent off didn't apply to Lewis Skelly. So again, there's a lack of competency and consistency. I think they want this. I personally think the refs are professional trolls, because it gets us speaking. Madness. Absolute madness. This is completely off topic, but it broke my heart, man. It don't feel right watching Arsenal without Bukayo Saka, man. Get well soon, man. Like, he's at home on TV, especially because I can't remember his stats, but he was doing well on the assist front. Wait. And on the topic of Bukayo Saka, certain people were comparing, Cole Palmer to him. Did Cole Palmer turn up at the Etihad? And again, like, it's nothing against Wolves. How is this not a sending off when this happened? Nothing happened for my man with this. And I swear he started grabbing Gabriel Jesus' bum as well. Pause. He was doing madness. Madness. Boy. I don't want to do the woe is me Arsenal fans, but boy, it's looking brazy. And again, Michael Oliver, away from that, you ruined it. You think, big up Ethan and Lewis Skelly, they obviously want to be footballers off their own, but you think them two ain't spoken about, yeah, it'd be nice to start in the Prem. There's money more to come, but they started their first game yesterday. And you ruined it. You ruined it. Because Lewis, Ethan had to come off because we had to make changes, and ironically, taking him off it probably was the easiest thing to shuffle things around. Lewis Skelly was obviously sub. You ruined it. You're like, look, you're ruining teenagers' dreams, man. You're a pussy, old Michael Oliver. Absolute pussy. Mike Dean has said we should appeal. Mike Dean, this man will criticize his mother before a ref. To be honest, I even want to disagree with Mike Dean. Even though I think he's right, I want to disagree with him, because I remember the crimes you committed as against my club. Mike Dean is saying that. And to be honest with you, it is the former referees or those that are not actively working in some capacity. They're being honest. It's the dons that still got to keep people in line and still got connections. It's these lot telling the white lies. And we all know how dangerous the media can be in life, let alone football, because they control the narrative. You say enough things enough times, the majority of people believe it. Dead. Absolutely dead. Absolutely dead. Absolutely dead. There's a statistic around Arsenal, I think we've got this. I was looking at it today, and I'm actually making a video. I think we got the 4th average height in world football, which probably why we're good at set pieces. Crazy, man. 4 red cards. 4 red cards. Now, you could argue there might have been times we were lucky, but boy, there's definitely an agenda. There's definitely an agenda, people. Big up Calafiori anyways. He said, I was laughing at my teammates because I only score goals like this. I must focus on the easy things because this is my job. Calafiori, it's quite romantic in that everyone was getting on. A lot of people getting on to you. Why do we buy you? And everyone loves you now. I will never give up on a 22-year-old defender. I'm not saying he'll ever be the guy for Arsenal, but I always said I'm cool with his signing. The man's 22. He's going to have to unpolish himself. You look at Guardiola. He didn't start City doing well, and look, he polished things. You look at Gabriel at this club. Obviously, you saw, what's his name again? The young lad that played for City. He got crucified in that game, or the first 5-10 minutes, and the media are creating a pylon. Defenders, every young player has to learn naturally. If you're a young defender or a young striker, mistakes are mistakes. You could be a young striker and miss a 1v1 and your team lose, and you can say that costs you the game. But if a defender or a goalie makes a mistake, naturally you're in trouble, innit? So yeah, shout out Calafiori, man. Shout out Calafiori. Mikel Arteta said, people, it was incredible what the boys did. We were thrown into a very difficult context. We had a difficult one already, losing some players very close to the game, Moreno and obviously Odegaard. But the team showed what they are. An unbelievable spirit, so much courage, and very, very intelligent, to be mature, to be composed, to be emotionally in control and understand and be focused on what we have to do. What happened, I think we fully deserve to win. He said, I wanted to win the game regardless of what happened. That is what happened. To be on the front foot, to play with a lot of courage with the ball, to use certain spaces that were going to be available. Big up everyone that was involved in the build-up to Calafiori's goal, let alone his goal. So, yeah, big them up. And to keep believing until the last minute that you can do it. Unbelievable what they did. They were unbelievable. I think we made them really proud as well. He's talking about the fans because we showed our team again difficulty and something very, very hard to admit. Still goes on the front foot and still has the will to win and find ways to win it. So that's for them. Big them up, man. Big up everyone with Arsenal. Is there anything? Oh, we've already seen this. Is there anything from Mikel Arteta's press conference that catches the eyes? Come on, man. Yeah, we know it was a hard-fought win, but the man himself said, I think on the red card, he said, I think it's that obvious. We don't need any comments today, and hopefully the right thing will happen after today. Arteta, he's been at it with them lot. That is pretty damning. Like, that's basically he saying, really, at this point, really, do I need to say anything? Any Stevie Wonder could see that, people. On whether he had an explanation for the sending off, he said, no. On if we'll appeal, he said, hopefully we don't need to. And if we have to, it's happened, and it's a really good precedent for what happened with Bruno Fernandes as well this season. Okay, we're in a position that we shouldn't be in, but at least be in a position we should be in for the next few weeks and allow our players to continue to show up. So what does that mean? Yeah, we've got injuries and that, but like we shouldn't be missing out players. Fair enough, man. Big up the mental strength and whatnot. On Lewis Skelly, he also said, well, as I said, I prefer not to comment on an actual thing. We cannot change actually what happened today. Hopefully it'll be fair for the team and for the player and for everyone what's going to happen in the next few weeks. Boy, big him up, man. And on how often we train with 10 men. How often in the time context of game scenarios and when we have overloads and underloads, but we don't have time to train. So the time that we have to train, I expect at least most of the time that we are playing with 11. Unfortunately, this season it has happened too many times. You can see he's getting peed off. On Calafiori's finish, like the goal against City, Ricky can produce these magic moments that we did again today. It really helped the team. So really glad that whoever comes in on the pitch, he has the experience to make things happen. And that's what we need. We need a squad. David Ornstein spoke and he said, on a striker potentially joining, I think Arsenal will do something. That's my sense because work is going on inside the club to bring in somebody that Arteta feels is the right one. Who that is, I don't know. He did say Arsenal will be open to letting Zinchenko leave this month. If Zini goes, it would mean Tierney would be staying until the summer. And obviously you're hearing Tierney's dotting I's and crossing T's to return back to Celtic. He said Isak is Arteta's top target, but he's simply not available and Newcastle intend to renew his contract. Cesco will not be moving this month. So I think it's a case of an attacker. The striker search continues into the summer. AFC Camden, again, I'm not condemning or endorsing these ITKs because I do think from what I've seen, some things he's actually got right. But unless it's Romano, Ornstein, or I'm seeing on Sky Sports, bids have been made. Pinch of salt settings, people. He has said Arsenal are preparing 100 million plus bid for Alexander Isak in the summer. Still want a body this month, but the Swede is Mikel's main target. Have had encouragement from Isak's camp that he'd be open to moving south, but will need Newcastle to miss out on Europe for them to sell. And you're going to have to put down the box. Does 100 million necessarily get you him, though? I don't know. And simultaneously, the Telegraph have said that, yes, Newcastle intend to reward Isak with a new long-term contract in the summer after another brilliant season. They remain adamant the striker is not for sale. So we're going to have to put the P's down and he's going to have to kick up a fuss in which if they get Europe, I'm not saying Arsenal's not an attractive proposition because we've finished ahead of Newcastle, but you're not going to angle for a move per se. As I said, in the Wolves game, Arsenal's managing director, Richard Garlick, and executive vice chair, Tim Lewis were in attendance against Wolves. So is that to get the Cunha thing sorted? I don't know. People let me know. And you would have seen Gabriel and Cunha at full time. But hey, Cunha, make it happen, man. Cesco would prefer a move to Arsenal over Chelsea or Man United, but Leipzig do not want to sell the 21-year-old this window, says TalkSport. Going away from that, Arsenal faced double Cunha threat after club record offer. Aston Villa and Nottingham Forest are ready to rival Arsenal for the signature of Cunha, according to a report. He's apparently refusing to sign a new contract after learning of high-profile interest from elsewhere in the Premier League. Cunha had previously been in brilliant form, but the recent speculation has seemingly affected him, and he was recently criticised by head coach Victor Pereira for his body language. I can't say his body language looked negative against us, but he's got a reaction. Arsenal have been the club most prominently linked with the Brazilian forward in recent days, and Football Transfers exclusively revealed earlier this week that an agreement on personal terms would not be an issue with Cunha open to the move. A much bigger problem would be the valuation of the players. Arsenal are not willing to shell out more than 53 million euros, which is about 40 odd, while Wolves would only consider a mid-season sell for a fee in excess of 80 million euros. So there's quite a gap in the valuation. So this is where I start to go, nah. It's not happening, is it? It has been claimed Cunha is not actively pushing for a move away from the Molineux, but clubs clearly think there's business to be done, with more suitors now having joined Arsenal in the pursuit of the 25-year-old. As we said, Aston Villa, Nottingham Forest, Newcastle, Manchester United, Chelsea, and probably today a next club is going to get linked with him. Apparently, Juventus are trying to push Vlahovic out the club this month after leaving him on the bench for the third successive game. Has previously been linked with Arsenal. David Ornstein's put cold water on it. I don't think the club are interested in Gyökeres and Vlahovic. I would love for Gyökeres. It's just, I say that because at least with Isak, Cesco, he's not a striker, but Nico Williams, the David Ornsteins, all of these guys, they're telling you Mikel Arteta has admiration. Arsenal like this one. Fair enough, it might not happen. You don't see that talk. We haven't seen that talk about Vlahovic or Gyökeres. So pinch of salt settings there, people. Once again, we love Cesco, but it is what it is. Cesco's already picked his next club. Last summer, when a project was pitched from Arsenal, Chelsea, and United, Cesco picked Arsenal and then made a secondary choice of whether it was now or to stay at Leipzig. With Cesco, some contact has been made with Leipzig to understand whether anything is possible. That's Ben Jacobs. I'm not sure if he's credible, but there you have it. We've gone over the Cunha thing, ain't we? You would have believed that Zinchenko is about to go to Dortmund, people. He has been linked with Atletico Madrid. Apparently, they're open to either a permanent deal or a loan with an obligation to buy. Arsenal allegedly value Zinchenko at 20 million euros plus add-ons. After the injury to Gabriel Jesus, Arsenal still hope to strengthen their attack this month with long-term targets like Cesco looking unattainable. They're now considering alternative targets, which they have to. Arsenal obviously have a good relationship with Rosenberg, and we've been linked with this Nepan guy, in which Romano is saying City are in for him. Ornstein is saying he's not. You would have seen him you would have seen reports that he was at the City game. And apparently, we seem to be the club about to get him, really and truly. Some would, for me, I'm not against the young signings. I don't think you should ever stop future-proofing. If he can come into the club for a couple of pennies and develop and become a player for us, great. If you get him for a couple of pennies and you sell him for a couple of pounds, can't go wrong making a profit and reinvesting, right? I do understand people might say, oh, an 18-year-old coming from the Norwegian league. Everyone's got to start somewhere, but I understand people will say, how does that help us right now? Because he has to adapt. He does come with a certain level of experience. I think he's got 50, 60, whatever the Norwegian league is, like playing in the league. But yeah, Romano has said he was in attendance at the Etihad Stadium. He arrived in Manchester on Friday to visit City's project presented with an initial move to Girona discussed. Ironically, we've got Girona on Wednesday. Arsenal plus one more club still in the race. No decision yet. That's what Romano said. We'll go back over there. I don't want to talk about Cesco no more, people. Apparently, Aidan Heaven is reportedly only focused on the Gunners despite transfer interest from United, City and PSG. We'll have to see. He's been offered a pro, hasn't signed it. I don't want to hear nothing from Michael Oliver. What's this? We're apparently in negotiations to improve the deals of Ethan and Lewis Skelly. 5-year deals needed for them. Italian journalist reveals how much Arsenal must pay to sign Vlahovic in January. Go on, you know what? Humor us, man. Koulibaly scored in his debut. Where is it? If Arsenal were to come forward with 40 million euros, Vlahovic will leave in January. The renewal negotiations with his entourage have led to nothing. He has a contract until 2026. So if he doesn't leave now, he'll leave in June for sure. Now, pardon me, we need a striker now, yeah? And I'm not saying wrong, but if I was Arsenal, if I genuinely want Isak and Cesco, I'm going to leave that until the summer. And I'm not going to go for Vlahovic, because if you're letting him go for 40 now in January, when he'll have a year left in the summer, that 40 might turn into 20. And even that, yeah, I don't rate Vlahovic as much as I used to rate him. And I do wonder why Mikel Arteta he's a good player, don't get me wrong, but I do wonder why Mikel Arteta wanted him in the first place. Now, of course, what he demands from a striker back then and now could be different and he can change. But, I always say this, when he played for Serbia in the last international break, he basically said, not that he prefers playing for Serbia, but the Serbian coach just lets me be a traditional striker. Motta wants me to do kind of everything, kind of what you see Arteta doing. And I do think he's not slow, but he does appear slow, quite cumbersome, not got the best of general play. Can score goals, is a good player, but I don't think he's as convincing. I don't rate him as much as I do. And I actually think someone's going to get bumped for him. Like, if he's available for 40 million now, you just leave that to go in the summer and then you try as hard as you can to get Cesco and get Isak. Every day that passes, Juventus are going to get more nervous in the summer. So we'll have to see, man. Again, as I said, Romano and Ornstein, in relation to that Nepan guy, they're all saying different things, people. Manchester City are not going to be signing Nepan. Arsenal are advancing in talks with his reps and club to club. Now, I don't know. Do you not believe Ornstein or do you believe Romano? I don't know, people, but That's what it's saying there. We're not linked with him, but every time I see Chelsea linked with Matthias Tell, this is the guy, man. He will be a serious number 9 in a couple of years, and he could help us in the short and medium term as a striker and as a left winger. Surely Chelsea got more players than they can count. We must be able to get involved there. But apparently 7 clubs have also requested Tell on loan. I'd want an option to buy, I can't lie to you. And he's French as well. Arsenal fans, you know our history with France. So yeah, man, Romano and my man are saying 2 very different things, people. So we'll have to see. Don't forget, people, to follow on Spotify and the audio platforms, as well as TikTok and all the rest of it. But that seems to be like that part of the news, man. Just don't get anyone that I think you mean isn't more clinical than Kai, even at his absolute worst. Cesco must be gotten. Ornstein, for me, Fab don't know our club. Yeah, but they're both 30, and they both, to go with Sammy Mokbel, they all dropped that Zubamendi news, which is still not an Arsenal player. So I don't know, man. DJ, you taking Vlahovic over Cunha? Nah. If you were to say like over Gyökeres or Cesco or Isak or Duran and that, I would say nah. I'd prefer Cunha, just because I like Vlahovic. I wouldn't cry, but you're not the club's first choice target, and he's on big money. I don't care how much money you're on. I only say you're on big money and your contract's running out and all of these things just because you're in a position of strength. Like, you're in a position of strength in the summer. And don't get it twisted. Everyone that needs a striker that's got a few quids to spend, we're all going to be going after the same people. And it does seem like we've done our homework on Cesco. So if that's your guy, go and get him in the summer. Bring Cunha now, innit? But even the Cunha thing, if they're saying, well, again, we can't take reports for gospel, but if they're saying Arsenal are saying 40, 50 million, these lot are saying 70, 80, something's got to give, really. And the time is ticking, innit? Vlahovic is beyond gettable and we probably won't get him. Ornstein said City don't want him. That's what I'm like. It's conflicting news, man. What's this jacket I'm seeing? Just a Calvin Klein jacket, my boy. I had to rate. Well, I went and done some grocery shopping. I just quickly sit down. I didn't even take it off, man. Sorry, man. I just didn't want to be late to be here with you lot, mate. Sometimes a manager needs someone to overrule him with the scouting. I don't blame Arteta, but also don't not blame him. I hear what you mean. You look at Jurgen Klopp. He wanted Julian Brandt. I think Michael Edwards wanted Mohamed Salah. I'm not saying Brandt wouldn't have been doing what Salah's doing. I don't believe it. But for devil's advocate, it's fair to say the Salah signing worked out in it and he's been decent. I hope Isak actually wants to come to join us. It would make things 10% easier. 10 times easier. Bro, if we got Isak, I'll be a happy man. Imagine Isak, Saka. Next one on the left-hand side. Get these players back doing in form. Odegaard's there, like Zubamendi signed. We're so close, man. DG, do you blame Arteta or the board for our deficiencies? To be honest, I blame the manager more, as the board have given him money. I just think he's wasted a lot of it with average players. And that's why I think both. And that's kind of what you're articulating there, 82, is what I'm saying. And that I don't think you can just blame the board because they've given you the P's. You haven't spent it in the best way or recruited in the best necessary way, Arteta, like 100%. And I don't think the Cronkies want to be winners. But at the same time, you clearly do this self-sufficient model. There's clearly been money spent. And I've come to accept you for what you are. And regardless of the Cronkies, I don't think the Cronkies are the reason we didn't win the league last year. Because they're not footballing men. They never told you. If they've given you 60, if they act up with giving you money, they've given you 65 million and you're saying buy Kai Havertz, you're in issues there. And I'm not trying to create a pylon for Kai Havertz. I think he's been a lot better than a lot of people expected. But fundamentally, it's not the guy. And as good as or bad as he's been, can we honestly, I don't know who would have bought, but can we honestly say that 65 million couldn't have went towards a player that answers, that has a lot more answers than questions? That's why I don't blame Kai. I think Kai's doing all he can. If I'm honest, I think Kai's been a lot more consistent than a lot of players. There's therefore criticisms, you're missing chances in that, but Kai Havertz, he might be a Champions League goal scoring, scored in the Champions League final, but he's never been clinical. So when I'm seeing you up front missing, yeah, you're a professional footballer, you've been playing up front, and I don't know for your Chelsea stats, but you've looked a lot more quote unquote confident in front of goal and the run of last season. You're a professional footballer, German international lad. You should still be bagging some of these chances. But if I've never had you as a clinical man, what's going on? I can't get mad. It's like Arsenal it's like us trying to go for a league title with Woodgate and Bramble as our centre halves, and they're making mistakes and we're surprised. It's like Runnison being our first choice goalie, and when he can't catch a ball, me being surprised. I think we've got enough blood from the Kai Havertz thing. Patrice Evra as well. Exactly. So many players. Like, I know people are onto Martin Odegaard, but you remember his first initial loan? There was 6 months. Ironically, he signed in Jan. People were onto him. It's completely off topic, yeah. But have you seen the way Dani Ceballos is playing for Real Madrid? He's playing out of his skin in the minutes he gets, man. Should we go back for him? Saka is still second in the Premier Assist board this season, even though he's played 6 less matches than Salah, who is first. Boy, I have no problems with Calafiori as a signing. It's the management around this signing that I have an issue with. But hey, Tini's a winger now, so I shouldn't complain anymore. It's just you know what? In a season of weird stuff, just sit Kieran Tierney down and just make him watch Gareth Bale videos. I'm obviously playing people, but yeah, will Arsenal appeal the red card? I don't think we should be in a position where we have to. I'm surprised I haven't seen any official statement that it's been rescinded. But if they don't have any plans, Monday morning, when we're streaming or whatever, I need to see Arsenal have done that. That Wolves player needs to be put on a watch list. Choking, man. Hey, you're moving mad. A man said, DG encourages, I need a PC that can withstand 6 million tabs open currently. Actually, PC specialist, but he's all right. Boy, Saka was on pace to break the assist record. I'm a Timber fan. He's just like Ken Sampson, despite Ken Sampson playing left back. Timber plays right or left back. We got some good defenders, man. Got some good defenders. Obviously, Tierney, it is what it is. My guy, love you, but you're gone. Kivio, I don't think you're terrible, but I don't think you're seasoned enough and you're ready for this thing. Beyond the role you're playing, which is a depth man, a body, I think you could go. Zinni, credit to what you've done for the club, but we're going in the way we need to go. Unless you're happy with the role you're in now, which is you take your minutes as you get them, you can go. Other than that, Lewis Kelly, I think you're a midfielder in the future, but you're really what we thought Ainsley Maitland-Niles was. You're doing your thing. Timber, you're doing your thing. Ben White, you're doing your thing. Tommy, the only criticism I have is your fitness, bro, and that would make me want to sell you, but I would add him into the mix. And all them defenders, man, I think we're quite cool there. I don't think David Raya is an amazing keeper, but he's more than solid in goal, man. So we're kind of all right. It's once you get into the midfield. It's once you start talking about the attacking options. Like, it's weird, yeah, because you know how they say, what's the saying they say? They say goals win games, defense wins titles. It's like we've assembled a team defensively that can win a title. And I would actually say I think we've dropped off a cliff defensively for the players that are actually good and the whole team pressing from the front, everybody mucking in. We need to get back to that. I think if we take those aspects and our options, we've got that. But goals win games. And yeah, we've scored 90 odd goals. We're always going to score goals, but you don't know what I'm talking about. It's like we've done that. We just need to get guys that can win us games. Like even sometimes let's be honest, sometimes you're just going to be playing shit. They weren't in our invincible run. We had bare draws. There were times we were dead. Man, just doing stuff and just turning a loss into a draw into 3 points, more points on the board. We talk about fine margins and the gaps and all of that. This is where we need to go, man. But DG, he had to send Trossard off because of the letter of the law. Anytime it's a first half red, it must be set. Boy, it is, man. DG, we have to get a striker before the deadline. I wouldn't hold your breath, man. 7 red cards given to Arsenal players in 54 matches for Oliver. You know, one thing I'd say of us Arsenal fans, yeah? Arsenal fans, they will find, the minute you do us dirty, the Arsenal fans on the net, they will find these stats and find things. The only thing I would say, and social media is not real life, yeah? Apparently people found where Michael Oliver lived. Like, he's a twat, but come on now. For most human beings, we know why that's stupid. And people always take things far, but the majority of people are not doing that. It's a minority thing. There's a lot of people that we could get even just to affect our squad depth. If the club know they are getting Cesco in the summer, I wouldn't mind as a last resort to just get Evan Ferguson. I hear it. Like, I hear the logic in and what a lot of you lot are saying in that you get the gunman striker and you get someone that's the backup, like the Gabriel Jesus and the Eddie Nketiah. A terrible example, but you know where I'm going. But it's not gonna happen. Like, unless it's a deal we can't refuse. At best, you're going to get a man that can play out wide and in the same way play up front. We're not going to get 2 strikers and then get a left winger and then do what we need to do in centre mid. And Mikel Arteta might have plans of his own because we never know what he's going to do. Who's to say he's not getting another left back? Who's to say? Nothing to do with David Raya, but Ramsdale's here 2 minutes. Yeah, you're gone now. Emi Martinez was there 2 minutes, gone now. Leno played a couple games, gone. You used to say David Raya might not get lapped, and I'm not saying that would be the case, but I'm only saying that because we tried to get that Garcia lad from Espanyol. Now, I'm not watching Espanyol on a religious basis, but he's talked about as potentially being a Spanish number one. He started the season for his club's second choice, and he just started getting some first team football. He's got a release clause of 20, 30 million, which we didn't activate, but I'd imagine we go again. How, with this being said, and I think he won for Spain in the Olympics, yeah. Again, if he's a young keeper with potential, what do young players need above everything? Support, coaching, all of that. You need minutes. You need to express yourself. You know, you get it, people. And we all know, I know Arteta said, "Oh, sub goalies and all of this." Anyone that understands football knows he respectfully, Arteta, everyone knows you're chatting shit. No one's going to do that with the goalies, yeah? No one's going to do that. How long is he going to want to sit on the bench? I'm not saying Neto is happy to sit on the bench because he ain't even played for the club. But maybe at 30 odd, 35 odd, however old he is, you understand the situation. Because Raya's not that, he's not young, but he's not that old. How long are you going to be second choice goalie where you're not going to play that much? Like, you're not going to play that much. Obviously, I would have thought we would have seen Neto in goal, even though we got him on loan when he couldn't play in the cup. FA Cup, he was never playing against Man United, and he can't play because we're out. Premier League, unless it's a thing where Liverpool win the league way before the last day of the season, he might get a run out. You never know. Cunha is trying to go to a big club and avoid relegation. He knows his stats this season can save him from relegation. It's probably why he's making a fuss. Need to stop shopping in Primark and hit Harrods. It's true, but essentials, bro. You might go Primark for some black socks and that. You're not gonna go Harrods for the mad thing. So like, just advocate the budget correctly. Let's do what we need to do, and then when we've got boxes and socks and vests and that, if there's some money spare, let's buy a nice jacket for ourselves. A nice jacket being Isak, a forward, and them kind of ones there, man. So we'll have to see how it's going to happen. Scary times ahead. I saw the Nepan film. I want that boy at Arsenal. Saw Nepan playing in a snowstorm. Decided I'd seen enough and wouldn't complain about being linked with him anymore. FM Wonder Kid, man. So bust him. Arteta has a problem with trust. That's the biggest problem for Arsenal. That's why our team is thin. How can you get rid of Smith Rowe and Vieira? If we had Smith Rowe, it wouldn't be an issue. To be fair, Smith Rowe wanted to leave. Now you can get at Arteta because and the club, because as we know, there's not enough bodies. But Smith Rowe wanted to cut. I can criticize Arteta for not playing him in the build up to that, for all of that stuff. But the man said he wanted to cut, so I allow him for that one. If I'm honest with you, Vieira, he's a dud, innit? And I think I can criticize it because, again, back to the depth. But I genuinely think, you know what he said, Vieira, I made a mistake with this one. You're not the guy. Ethan's coming true now. And let's be honest, I'm not trying to diss Fabio Vieira because I remember against Brentford, fantastic goal. I'm so sure against United, you assisted the Gabriel Jesus thing. You've had 1-2 moments where you've done your thing, I'm sure, in the English Super Cup Community Shield. And maybe I'm being naive, but in the little time I've seen Ethan in the first team in them attacking positions, he's stood out a lot more for me than you ever did. We know you're not the same player, but yeah, if I'm honest. Man said Haaland things. Would love that. El Traverdi returns to City next month, and Pep invited Nepan for talks at the Etihad. Young blood, Pep's rebuild. I always say you got to keep future-proofing, man. Arteta has solid talent ID, but I prefer the manager identifying the profiles he needs and DOF and scouts identifying the best players that fit the profiles. I think that's a fair way. The main problem with Arteta signing Havertz is that he gave up on the role he signed him for. Everything after that is damage limitation. You got it there. Lookman is Saka. Not sure what that means. In 3 seasons, Kai is going to be clinical. I hope so, man. I hope, like, some of you, I'm not saying anyone here, but some of you sit here and say he could be Van Persie and this and that. But at 25 years of age, if you're not clinical now, you're never going to be. As dumb as it sounds, I think strikers are born to score goals. I don't think that's the strength of Kai's. And if I'm honest with you, yeah, maybe I'm making this all up, but Kai Havertz is looking a bit knackered, and I can't blame him for being knackered. He actually is looking a bit tired. Lookman's more than welcome to sign for Arsenal Football Club. Solanke's at Spurs, they're shy, 65 million on that. Bro, Havertz needs to go, man. He keeps wasting so many chances for us. He's been costing us a lot this season. But Fulham will beat United 2-0. I hope so. Kai just ain't born to score goals. You see that from early. Do you know what? Yeah, the maddest thing is, yeah, you see Kai Havertz. I was watching his Leverkusen highlights. And I don't want to say things have gone wrong, but it's like What went wrong? Because I'm seeing you getting on the ball, turning, deep lying passes. I don't see that Kai anymore. Like, I'm not saying he hasn't affected stuff, and I'll always give Kai his credit because you was very consistent in the second half of last season. I'm just saying, like, it genuinely looks like two different players. The one I saw at Chelsea, the one I'm seeing at Arsenal, and I'm not even saying it's good or bad, and what I'm seeing at Leverkusen, it's two different technical players, man. AC Milan linked with Jimenez, but we were never gonna go for him. He is a kidnapper as a kid. We was never gonna go for Jimenez, man. That's what I mean. Some of these guys are just linked with Arsenal for the sake of it. I don't doubt that we might have scouted them and that, but it's easy to link not just anyone who needs a striker or any club that needs any position. He grew like 3-4 inches in height, lost his coordination. Talent never cared how old a player is. I think that's a harsh thing to say, but I don't think you're wrong. Kai's a fraud. I don't think you can say Kai's a fraud. You can criticize his footballing ability and stuff, but I think he stands up to be counted. I think he shows courage. I now see or have seen for the best part of a year what Mikel Arteta said about him in a sense of, like, what did he say? He said something like, Kai is someone that will go to war for you. And I never got it. And then I saw it. I don't think he's a fraud. You can't make that amount of Chelsea. So you can't play for Arsenal and Chelsea and play in international tournaments, win a Champions League, be a German international by being a fraud. I think you're a square peg in a round hole. I don't think we should have bought you. But now we're here where we're at. So, yeah. Havertz at Leverkusen is Havertz in midfield with confidence. It's true, but, like, when was you? And the thing is about Kai, yeah, like, he's been around for time, innit? The man's 25. And that's like the midpoint now. Fair enough. Where? Right, your dad was a policeman. Mum was a lawyer. Interesting. When did you leave Leverkusen? 2016. 2020, apologies. 5 years ago. Well, not exactly 5, but yeah. Havertz just needs more time to develop. But at 25, a Champions League winner, play for two big clubs in Chelsea and Arsenal, X amount of caps, for Germany. We should know what you are. And I'm not even criticizing Kai. We should know what you are. How much more developing do you need to do? Like, what are you? Some would argue he's a midfielder. Some would argue he's a striker. Some would say he's a jack of all trades, master of none. Some would say, obviously, he's an ultimate squad player. But I've seen Kai Havertz play left back for Germany. I've seen him play all about. So for me, I just accept him what he is, man. They're like, you are a jack of all trades. Like, I want a striker. I want a winger. I don't think Kai Havertz would be in my strongest 11, but I do think you can contribute to the squad, or even whether I think so or not. Unless we wake up and it's like Football Manager where there's random bids, we're not getting our £65 million back. Respectfully to Kai, I can't imagine clubs are going to be queuing up to buy him. I guess into the role Arteta is asking from him. For what you bought Kai Havertz for, he's a fraud. You can say that. But when we signed Kai, and I'm just being fair. I have nothing to gain by defending Kai. I saw The Athletic hosting polls about flop of the season, doing this and that. He's been a lot better than people want to give him credit for. Havertz might improve going to 27-30, but we'd be better off getting Cesco and seeing his development. I think Kai grew a bit taller, so he isn't as nimble as his Leverkusen days. Issues with ball structure. I hear that, but if you're going to be a midfielder, to a degree, what does that have to do with just getting on the ball, playing good passes, dictating the tempo of the game? I hear it, though. Kai is what he is, man. Solid squad option, and maybe he hits another level, but he can do that from the bench. I'm with that. To be fair, Kai, he's always available and works his socks off. The guy had to be carried off the pitch yesterday. Got to respect that, even if you don't rate him. And I'm here for that. That's where I'm at. DG, do you think a top 6 club will get relegated in the next 10 years? I think Spurs will survive because the bottom teams are just as bad. I think in the next 5-10 years, generally, every team, well, maybe even, let's say 20, every team could potentially win the, like, if we started the league today, every team goes into that season with a chance of getting relegated and losing the league. I mean, getting relegated and winning the league. Because it went from a top 4 to a top 6. Soon it'll be a top 10. And that's why you're seeing, let's be real, Arsenal, Chelsea, to a degree, City, Liverpool. Let's be honest, whether all of them are trying to lock off the thing so that no one can elevate. You know, rightly or wrongly, yeah, you should only be able to spend what you earn and whatnot. But we all know there's grey areas. Why do you think the PSR is... I'm sure PSR is there to control spending and do all of that stuff. But it harms the Newcastle trying to elevate with their owners and what they can do. it harmed Nottingham Forest. It's not harming them now because they ate that charge and kept it moving. But do you get it? There's all vested interests. So yeah, man. 65 mil, I can't get him. Would you say Havertz and Moreno are a similar level? At Arsenal, Moreno, you haven't shown me anything Kai showed me. I've seen, whether I rate Kai or not, I've seen you put in some great team performances. I've seen you show some great consistency in the second half of last season. I've seen you turn up in a lot more bigger games. I haven't seen anything of any note. Arsenal brought Kai to be this clinical god in front of goal. Just hasn't worked out. He ain't what Arsenal hoped for. Brought him to be a centre mid, mate. Like, if anything, putting him up front helped out a lot more. But jack of all trades, master of none. It's corrupt, man. I don't think Moreno's rubbish. I think if we signed the Zubamendi the summer that's just gone with Moreno, we look at it different. But we needed someone that immediately upgrades that starting 11, or at least makes you think, right, is it Rice and this guy? Is it going to be Rice and Pye? Is it this one and that one? Didn't get that. Calafiori's cool, but we didn't get anybody that directly improves that starting 11. Kai, perhaps a little self-confidence. Natalie's going to have to find it, man. Your confidence is going to fluctuate. To be fair, though, for the last few, well, for this season, I would say, and for the second half of last year, I don't think self-confidence is an issue because it's a lot nicer. Like him and Raya, obviously Raya's one was different, but like even Raya said last January is when I really started to feel that I'm cool. Quick DG, what's Moreno's top 3 traits? Aerial duels, fairly combative, and just being defensively sound. But he does look a bit slow, does look a bit cumbersome. Even though I thought he was a floor raiser, and I still maintain that, and he's a squad player. Within that remit, I would have liked to have seen a bit more impact, if I'm honest with you. It is what it is, man. And that's where I say you can get at the Cronkies, but the money that was made available to Mikel Arteta, did he spend it in the right way? Our defenders score more important goals than our attack. It's crazy. They got to do their job and the attacker's job. It's a madness, isn't it? But it is what it is. No clue why so many of you are here, people. I appreciate it. We got 172 likes. Big up you lot who have hit the like button and subscribed. I'm going to go and eat my dinner very quickly just because just in over an hour, we're going to be watching Fulham versus Man United. Thank you for moaning with me about Michael Oliver and your differences of opinions and everything else, people, man. Again, turn on your notification bells. Follow for all the aerial... what did you say about aerial duels? Yoni, allow me. Follow for the audio content on Spotify and all of that kind of stuff, people. And yeah, man, I always hang around on YouTube like a bad smell. In honor of Calafiori, Mikel Arteta loves left backs. I know someone that would be happy to sit on the bench, especially if Tierney and Zinni are leaving.
Against this right back, Charlie, definitely.
There's always just that active red flag defenders. I think it's like